Already getting results from our next investigation, and we haven't even shown it to you yet. A viewer, in fact, told us about possible slave graves beneath a new Cypress subdivision.
When we sent Ted Oberg to investigate, we discovered Harris County leaders who knew about the possibility but never followed up. That was until we started asking questions.
There's a cemetery in this small patch of woods for the Texans who owned this land way back in the 1850s.
All right around there.
The Harris County Historical Commission says it's not all those farmers now buried here owned.
They have slaves, but some of them only have 2 slaves, some of them have 5.
Neighbors tell us there's always been a rumor those slaves were buried on the other side of what is fast becoming Alden Woods, Cypress's newest subdivision.
We had always heard there were slave graves.
Neighbors told U of H archaeologist Dr. Ken Brown about it 2 years ago when he was out here exploring the White Farmers Cemetery for the Harris County Historical Commission. They led Brown to where they thought the slave graves were.
I saw depressions that have a generally east-west orientation. There were, in several cases, groups of them, which suggested family-type plots within a cemetery.
The chair of the Harris County Historical Commission was there too, and while she told us she couldn't rule out buried trash piles.
Standing there in the woods that day, what did you think you were looking at?
A potential gravesite
For
African Americans.
An assistant Harris County attorney was there that day too.
I said to the county attorney's representative, this looks like the spot. This looks like a cemetery. It was very easy to recognize.
Texas regulations and law will recognize cemeteries if you can find depressions in the ground, fencing, some kind of trees, but the easiest and most reliable sign is a tombstone, and slaves couldn't afford those in the 1850s. The county attorney's office got a legally binding agreement to protect the white cemetery, but the potential African American graves on the other side of the subdivision?
We had to give up.
In a December email, the county attorney's office told us there were oral hearsay reports of the possible existence of a separate African American burial ground, which were never confirmed. But remember, the county attorney's office was working with the developer to preserve the white landowner's cemetery. But neither the Historical Commission nor the county attorney's office ever said anything to the developer about the possible African American graves. Neither asked Dr. Ken Brown to dig. Instead, the appointed historian and taxpayer-funded assistant county attorney asked Brown, a volunteer, to get a sworn statement from a neighbor that there were graves on the land. Neighbors either couldn't or wouldn't.
We thought we had done all we could do.
Which brings us back to the developer. When have you heard that they found depressions and they
Just now.
I'm the first guy to tell you
You're the
that.
first guy to tell me that.
Steve Sellers admits he heard rumors years ago, but chalked it up to neighbors upset over a new subdivision in their backyard. The depressions, the orientation, the historic documents.
Like I said, it's all news to me. If the county attorney had said there's a problem here, then we would have dealt with it just like we dealt with this problem.
But now?
What scares you about what's going on out here?
They're building over cemeteries. It's a huge double standard.
The Harris County Attorney's Office tells us no one ever asked them to do anything or supplied records to determine the location of the possible African American burial site. But then again, their employee was in the woods looking at the depressions himself a few years ago. And just now is that office acting to determine if it is in fact a gravesite. We know there's a home near there for sure. It's owned by Coventry, and we reached out to them several times but did not hear back.